This is the story of Hyakkimaru, who was born without a limb, skin, nose or legs, due to the deal made between his father and demon. The storyline is so good, and I promise you will cry while watching this anime. Don't forget to hit the like, notification and subscribe button. Hyakkimaru's father came to the Hell Hall to make a deal with the demon. He requested the demon to protect his land and grant him supreme power to rule over the country. He promised the demon that he will give anything in return, even the thing most dearest to him. After hours of labor, his wife finally gave birth, but the baby was struck by a very powerful lightning, which also took the status head. Daigo, feeling the abnormalities, immediately rushed into the room. He then asked if the baby was born. The maid replied with sadness on her face that he was born. The wife, who was in shock, replied, "He's your son." Daigo, reaching out to his wife to carry the child, but the maid tried to stop him. As he opened the baby's cover, his face turned pale. The maid tried to explain that the child is alive but has no limbs, eyes, nor a nose, that the child doesn't even have a skin. The baby was rejected by his family and was dropped in a boat by the maid, leaving fate to decide his life or death. A priest who is blind was passing by the river, suddenly felt a strange aura from the boat. He stopped with curiosity. By taking a close look at the boat despite being blind, he said to himself that the child is neither a human nor a ghoul, but he can feel that the child was cursed. As Jukia was resting on the grass, he suddenly felt the boat that approached him. He stands up to take a closer look. He walked towards the boat, but what he saw was a disfigured baby. As he slowly tried picking up the baby, he was shocked and couldn't believe that the baby could survive such predicament. Tears rolled down Jukai's face, as he can feel a strong will of survival from the baby. He saved the baby and named him Hyakkimaru. 15 years later, Jukai bodied Hyakkimaru with prosthetic and taught him the way of sword. In order for Hyakkimaru's life to be meaningful, he devoted himself into practicing the way of a samurai. Despite not having a limb, eyes, nose nor skin, he was blessed with strength and special eyesight. He can't see beauty of the world, but he can see the soul of things, which helps him to differentiate between ghouls, demon, and human. Hyakkimaru have to continue fighting ghouls and demons in order to get his body parts taken by the demons. After defeating a demon, for the first time, Hyakkimaru retrieved his leg, which grew back on its own. Jukia was surprised by seeing Hyakkimaru's legs growing back. Dororo is an orphan whose parents both died. Due to being very smart at a young age, he was able to fend for himself, which led to his survival. Dororo met Hyakkimaru for the first time on the bridge, as he was being beaten by some men. The men saw that Hyakkimaru has a face like a doll and was wondering where he was looking at. Dororo replying that Hyakkimaru wasn't looking at them, but rather was looking behind them. As Hyakkimaru stands on the bridge, he could see that the creature on the bridge was a demon, because it has a red soul. The men thought that it was a garbage, not know it was a demon. The demon suddenly attacked and killed the men. As Dororo was about to get killed, Hyakkimaru drew out his sword and saved Dororo, flew down and caught Dororo with his back and threw him down. Dororo rolls down helplessly. Hyakkimaru runs on the bridge in order to run from the demon and kill it strategically. After minutes of running on the weak bridge, the bridge ends up collapsing and falling on the demon, which later ends up killing it. After the fight with the demon, Dororo was afraid by Hyakkimaru's change in behavior. Hyakkimaru pushed Dororo back down unintentionally, as he slowly regains his face. This all happened after he killed the demon. So far he had been able to recover to parts of his body, making Hyakkimaru feel severe pain. After their first encounter, Dororo ends up following Hyakkimaru, assisting him in his needs. Dororo roasted a fish, gives it to Hyakkimaru. Hyakkimaru was shocked. Dororo puts the fish on Hyakkimaru's hand. Hyakkimaru slowly ate the fish. Dororo was still surprised that despite Hyakkimaru being blind, he can move around and do things freely. What Dororo didn't know was that Hyakkimaru was cursed, talking to Hyakkimaru for being strange. Dororo and Hyakkimaru went to a village to hunt ghoul, but what they encountered was a demon. Hyakkimaru went on attack mode in order to slay the demon, but the demon was very powerful. The demon hits Hyakkimaru with his tail, pushing him to the ground. Hyakkimaru charged towards the demon. Despite being stabbed by the demon, he kept charging forward because he doesn't feel pain. He pierced the demon eyes, making the demon to run. He pursued the demon to the forest, attacking it from above with his sword pointing downwards. He sliced its head into two. The demon fell down, leaving only her original body. The demon slowly looked at Hyakkimaru and remembered him. She was surprised that he was able to survive, gradually collecting all that was taken from him. She said that the 12th demon failed to take him. That was why he's still alive. The demon continuously bragged that Hyakkimaru can't kill her and take the rest of his body. Hyakkimaru couldn't care less, savagely stabbed her head with his sword. Dororo fell down kneeling on a pool of blood. "Who did this?" he said. "Why the hell did you kill them?" he shouted, asking the man who was holding a sword. The man replied that the sword was thirsty for blood. That's why he killed them. Dororo wasn't buying the fact that a sword is thirsty for blood. The man replied that it's not an ordinary sword, that it's alive, a cursed sword that uses human blood to nourish itself. Hyakkimaru uses his eyes to see that the man wasn't the one possessed, but rather the sword was a demon. The man rushed, attacking Hyakkimaru with the sword. Hyakkimaru blocked the attack. He exchanged several attacks from the man. He suddenly drew out his left-hand sword, creating a surprise attack that was very fast and smooth, that ends up killing the man without him noticing. The man fell down heroically with a smile on his face. After his death, the sword loses light and ends up getting destroyed. After the sword demon death, Hyakkimaru was able to recover his hearing, but the pains he felt during that process was unbearable, as he hadn't adapted to his body changes. Hyakkimaru, fiercely fighting together with the priest to slay a demon. The priest fiercely swung his sword, while the demon was trying to defend and attack. He shouted that Hyakkimaru should strike. Hyakkimaru athletically moved his body in air and stabbed the demon's head. Hyakkimaru didn't escape unscathed. He ends up losing his legs by the demon claw. At the same time, he regained his voice. Dororo tied himself to the centipede head and asked Hyakkimaru to follow the sound of his voice. Because he couldn't see in the dark smoke, Dororo holds the rope tight as the centipede swings its body. Dororo tells Hyakkimaru to attack its eyes. Hyakkimaru jumps up, went ahead and stabbed the centipede eyes. The centipede came out of the dark fog in pains and ended up being burned by the sun. Hyakkimaru, thinking he has finally defeated the demon. Little did he know that it has another head on its tail. The demon swallowed Hyakkimaru with his second head, but that was its biggest mistake. Hyakkimaru sliced the demon into two halves from within its stomach. After killing the centipede, he suddenly felt another part of his body been recovered, which was his nose. He was stunned, for the first time having a sense of smell. Daigo, who fed his son to the demons, in order to fulfill his ambition of his land's prosperity and supreme overrule. The son who crawled from ashes to regain the body snatched away from him. Here in Daigo land, that thrives upon the son's sacrifice, the two met each other for the first time. Hyakkimaru knows not what those flames mean. He suddenly disappeared, appearing at his father's back. The seal on the father's head activated after coming in contact with Hyakkimaru. The look of disgust was clearly shown on his face as he tried attacking Hyakkimaru. Hyakkimaru went to the Daigo's villa, but he was chased and pursued by the men to be killed. They shot arrows at him, but he fended them off. The mother, who missed her son dearly, shouted out. Hyakkimaru tried looking at the mother, but they shot arrow at him again. Hyakkimaru ran away from being killed after seeing the face of his mother. Hyakkimaru, fighting with the demon wasps, smoothly sliced it into two halves. He sliced both the wings of the other wasps. He then stabbed the wasps. The wasps flew away in pain, carrying Hyakkimaru. The wasps pierced through Hyakkimaru with his claw. Hyakkimaru tried releasing himself, making him fall down. Hyakkimaru went on the river to search for the demon wasps after it escaped. He fought brilliantly with the demon wasps. He set the demon wasps on fire. The wasps burned to ashes as Hyakkimaru fell down into the river. Hyakkimaru crawled out from the river and fell down. After killing the demon, the statue in the hell hall cracked and he recovered his spine, but the pains in the process was severe. Next, we see Hyakkimaru fighting with the demon shark. He sliced its horn and pierced through its body with his sword. Hyakkimaru forcefully stabbed it deep a guy, giving it a fatal injury. The demon shark struggles for his life, before it ends up dying. Dororo rushed over hugging Hyakkimaru. Suddenly Hyakkimaru fell down in pains again. As a result of killing the demon, he recovered his second leg.